Today is April the 3rd, 2008. This interview is being conducted for the Veterans History Project at the Library of Congress. This is Finesse, Wiley, Coleman of Burleson, and we're at the Burleson Public Library. Mr. Coleman was born on August 28, 1922.
My name is Retta Ann Drummond Coleman. I was born October the 26th, 1931 in Edinburgh, Texas. We came here when the hurricane destroyed our poultry farm and fruit grove in 1933. We settled in Lillian and then moved to Burleson in 1937.
You need me to stop the tape? Or?
I married Finesse Wiley Coleman on June the 5th, 1954, and we settled out on the old Alvarado Highway.
Mr. Coleman here reached the rank of Corporal in the U.S. Army in the 94th Signal Company attached to the 94th Division. Mr. Coleman, would you please tell me where you came from and what you were up to before the war?
Well, I was living out of Cleveland, and then just got out of high school, and my dad died, and so I had two older sisters and a brother already in California, and the war was getting pretty heavy, and I was thinking my time would come soon. So I knew to get my mother and I had a younger brother and a sister out to California where she could be with two older sisters. And so that's what we did. We went out to California. And in just a few months, Uncle Sam called me and I was accepted in.
What was the date that you entered the Army, or that you were called up? What was the date that you were called up?
Oh, it was
Let's see, I have here September 15th, 1942.
Is
that right?
Yeah.
And where did you receive your initial training at?
Well, I was shipped all the way over the train to the East Coast to Atlantic City, New Jersey, where I went through training for about 3 months. And then I got shipped out to radio school in Kansas City, where I took that.
What prompted you to go into radio school? Was it an assignment, or did you volunteer for that? Or?
No, I didn't have no say about it. I just happened to have the good enough IQ that they got me. And the older brother that was with me, we had to split right there. He didn't do so well on the test that they gave him, and he went down and stringing lines for the Air Corps down in southern up there in Kansas it was, I'm sure where he went to. And I soon got out of school, finished there, and I was shipped down to Florida to study there and taking training to operate these for during the war. And but then I got out of that and went to went to school at
Was the
Yeah.
university
Was it Camp McCain,
no, that was afterwards.
Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah, that up there at University of Florida. University of Florida is where I went to school and studied, and they had selected me and two other times to go to the north to work in with oh,
well, you mentioned going through training. Which different camps did you go to, or you had mentioned even going into
yeah.
part of the Air Force service at one time?
Well, I was going to the Air Force, and they come around and told me that I couldn't go to the Air Force, that the Army had choice. And so I got shipped out to the Camp McCain, Mississippi, where there I went through the basic training, and that whole division went through the basic training. It was the 94th Infantry Division, and we trained there for a few months and was carried up to New York City and put on ship, the Queen Elizabeth, and where we went across without any
You didn't have any.
Escort.
Was this during the height of the U-boats targeting the ships? Was this when the U-boats were still targeting a lot of the shipping?
Yeah, they were still bad, but this boat we went on was the Queen Elizabeth, which could go fast enough that they could not sight on it. It traveled about 35 miles an hour and zigzagged like this. That's where it went all the way across to Scotland is where it landed. And then we went down into the where there was already lots of ships or airplanes that fly over. I forget England. Which one went out in the day and one of them went in daytime. The other one at night time on the long bombing runs. And that went on for a while, and they finally, D-Day did come around on, I think, about June the 7th. And we went across the channel.
So you were part of the D-Day invasion?
Well, we didn't make the invasion.
They were sitting in the channel in boats.
Yeah, we went over in a boat about a week later, and then we had to sit out there for about another week. And but they got enough figured out that they unloaded everybody and unloaded. We had a bunch of our equipment loaded up, and with us, that was trucks that we had, that we went across and went into France. There's where and a very good friend and I got the idea cut some little spur of dirt and put underneath my tent. My old house, and so we had it pretty nice. We got it up about the sides about 2 feet or so. And
Now, after you landed in France, where did you go? You said you were kind of there for about a week, and then you kept moving.
well, then we finally went. One time I went up to Paris and went just to look it over. And there's where I heard what I thought was a ghost calling my name. But it happened to be a cousin. Saw me from about a block away.
Tell them your war activities from the time you entered France until you got to the Rhineland.
Well, we operated behind the front lines. We did not operate in the front line.
What was a typical day for you
For me,
once you had landed over in France? Was there constant forward movement, or just staying in one position for days or weeks at a time, or?
well, I'm getting this out to here's the general's car. We had to do something to it.
Now, which general was this?
The general of our division,
Patton?
no, not Patton. Well, this is all we have to do today.
So-
Here I am repairing this old French car that I patched. The pan had a hole in it, bottom out of it, and I patched it, and we had it to operate, to run around in. Our medic was driving it one afternoon, and we stopped at this house. This is after we got up to Dusseldorf, much later on. But we was stopped at this house where a bunch of girls was, German girls. And they came out, and that happened when we got out to that street up to the car, this thing here, and that was before we got the clutch fixed on it. But, and this girl says, hit, patrol. And we looked behind us, and there was a patrol stretched across the street coming towards us. And Red, that he was the medic of our company, was driving, and he starts it up, and it doesn't take off very fast. But we take off, and they start running towards us. And I guess that's one time we nearly got shot.
Now,
They started shooting at us, and we went under a turn, went under the bridge, and then I could hear the bullets hitting the frame of the bridge there. But then that's when I got busy and fixed the clutch on it.
Now, what more can you tell me about moving into Germany? Which battles were you a part of and campaigns?
Well, before we ever got up that far, we was in battle with the Germans all through the Saar, Moselle Triangle, the rivers. And here's a picture of a drawbridge.
Is this the bridge from your story?
Yeah, that's from they had already knocked the bridge. The Germans had knocked the bridge out.
And you had to...
Before we got there, but then we built this across the river there.
The Rhine. You built it across the Rhine River.
And we operated with that, and you could just drive across it.
Now, were you, give my lack of knowledge of history here, were you in the battle of the, what was the forest that had that very deadly fighting in Germany towards late part
Battle of the Bulge?
Not the Battle of the Bulge, before that. It'll probably come to me, but you keep going. You talk about
Is it the Black Forest?
the Black Forest. That's what I was trying to think of. Were you a part of that at all, or?
No, I was not right in it, but I could have been right behind it. And
Now we did mention that you were a part of the Battle of the Bulge. What was that experience like?
well, I was not actually in the fighting end of it.
You wasn't
But you
in
were-
the ground fighting.
But you were in support, or you were?
Yeah, we of course had guns and all of that. And there was here's some of the fellows that operated with me. The names are on the back.
Keep telling me about your experience during the war. What about the men that you were with? Do you keep in contact with any of them today or after the war?
Do what?
Did you keep in contact with the men that you served with after the war?
Yes, we go to
The reunion, the 94th reunion.
How many people were in the 94th? Do you remember?
about 20,000, but that's not,
And the signal company that you were
the
in.
signal company is only about 200, and there's only about 20 attend these meetings that we get together once a year.
One person he was very, very close with, and when we got married, we spent our honeymoon with him in Florida.
How long did you stay in Germany? Or did you keep moving, or?
That's Lord. We went down, all the way down through Germany to Czechoslovakia. And
Tell me about that little booklet you have there.
Can we tell him about this book? He's getting tired and he doesn't function.
This is kind of makeup of the division. Pocket-wise, I guess you would call it.
What kind of the duties of the group, or? Now I know that you have 3 photographs right over here. Now you were showing those to me a little while ago. Who did you get the chance to see? Here in this photograph. You were pointing him out to me earlier.
Oh, that wasn't it. That's part of old Bob Hope there.
So how did you have the opportunity to see Bob Hope? He said that, I believe he said that was in the south of France.
Yeah, that. That's probably Paris when I went to Paris.
Showing the pictures of the girls you picked up in France, in Czechoslovakia.
Oh, that's what we did. One of the guys I worked with, he and I, we'd go out and pick up people that Germans had misplaced, moved them back, and then they shipped out and went back to their home.
These children not have any families, or?
Well, they was living with a family, but they had been moved out there by the Germans for work possibilities.
Did you ever come into contact with any of the concentration camps or internment camps?
No, I did go by one day, and I didn't want to get out and go in. And here's something that we had about once a month, and it was a necessity that we do it.
Oh no. Do you mind if I show this picture to the camera?
Go ahead and show it. It's what we do, the Army does.
And do you want to describe what's taking place in the picture?
One of those guys was I can't even call it.
Was he the medic?
No, he was before the lieutenant, warrant officer. He was the warrant officer. Here's some of the girls that was in the...
These more of the Czechoslovakian girls?
No, they had a parade
Oh,
in
okay.
appreciation to the American soldiers who came and relieved them of the German and Russian rule. And there's a picture there of General Patton and several of the soldiers that participated.
Well, here we are hooking up the, so they'd have a speaker system. That's not in him, that's Patton and our general there. And here's a good picture of Patton, but it has faded in time.
Oh, okay.
There he is walking, fixing to step down.
Was he giving a speech?
Here.
He was giving a speech?
Was he giving a speech, Pee Wee?
Yeah, but that, trucks and infantry guys were marching around.
Now, you said that they threw a parade in honor of the Americans who had liberated them from the Nazis and the Russians.
Yeah.
Did you encounter similar groups or similar sentiments from people who were glad that you had come?
Well, here it is. See, they're driving all around it, and then the GIs was walking behind.
Is that Patton in the Jeep?
No, he's
Is that-
up there in the stands.
Blood and Guts. I think that's what Patton was called, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right. In 1985, we had the opportunity to go back to Czechoslovakia where those pictures were made. And the people there still remember the GIs that came and liberated them, and they have deep respect for Americans and what they did. We went back from Frankfurt and drove to Prague, Czechoslovakia, to meet a friend that he had met while he was there, and we toured Czechoslovakia, and everywhere we went, the people were expressing their gratitude to the Americans.
Yeah, we spent a week with them. And she became a doctor, and later on, about 4 or 5 years after that, she passed away. They don't have long lives over there. They got factories in the cities and smokes and all of that.
Well, where were you when the war ended?
When the war ended, we was in Düsseldorf, that's northwest.
How did you find out that the war had ended?
Well, we had a radio. We kept in contact with our personnel.
How soon were you able to go home?
Well, you got to go home by numbers, which you earned so much money.
Like a lottery or a...
Well, it's what you had earned, the time spent in the Army, if you was wounded or such as that, and fighting that you had been in, and I got to go home. That started sometimes in midsummer, and I got to go home about December.
What ship did you come back over to the U.S. on?
That one that we spoke of.
Well, you tell the story for the camera. I want the...
Yeah, that one. Yeah, they got it fixed and we went on.
What kind of ship was it?
It was a small passenger ship, about 5,000. It could carry about that many.
But it was a World War I German.
Yeah, it was something we had captured from the Germans.
And what happened on the way back to the U.S.? What happened to this ship?
This ship, well, that steering apparatus rudder broke in the storm. You'd go up in the air, and then it'd go down and you'd drop down. Up and down, up and down.
And you told me that the ship had listed. How badly was it listing?
It listed about 35 degrees, and at 36 degrees it was capsized.
Now, what was your duty while you were on the ship?
They guarding some people so they wouldn't get out of line.
You were a deck duty officer?
Yeah,
What happened when you came back to the U.S.?
I and two more fellows went out on the front end of that ship was in to go by the Statue of Liberty. And you would have thought that ship would have had that front end of it loaded down. But it was so cold that
What was your reaction when you were passing the Statue of Liberty? How was it to come back home?
joyful.
Were you in New York for long, or?
No, we was there for about a week and was shipped out by air, and I went to California.
This continues the interview with Finesse Wiley Coleman. It is April the 3rd, 2008. We're at the Burleson Public Library. Mr. Coleman here has a lot of interesting items, a lot of photographs which he's been kind enough to bring and show us. One of the things he has here, and I'll hold it up for the camera, is 3 Hard Years. It's a publication of the 94th Infantry Division. And it mentions all the different camps and all the different places that he went. And it shows in here, if you open the front cover, the generals, and then shows different commanders in the division. Talk about being an American-occupied Czechoslovakia, if I can pronounce that. The first year, they went through training. Talking about Camp Phillips down there. And here, very interesting, is a kind of a world map. It shows where all they went. From, of course, here in the U.S., across the pond to Scotland, and then down through into France, and then Chateaubriand, and then over there, up through Dusseldorf and down. Mr. Coleman, if you'd like, please continue with your story. Let me catch this door real quick. When the tape cut off, you were talking about...
You can hold this up and show them the front and the back of your discharge.
This is my discharge papers.
Okay. Mind if I hold that for a minute? Let's see. You were discharged from the 94th Signal Company, and that date says January 1st, 1946. Now, how did you end up coming to Burleson?
Well, I'm native, and I was born in Fort Worth.
Okay, so you just kind of came home.
I came home, and we bought a place down there out of Burleson, right out east of Burleson. We built 2 chicken barns on it. What we started out with raised about 3,000 head in each one of them. And we finally got up to, how many we had? We used to have about,
You used to have 500,000
yeah,
God,
contract of your own and contract feeders.
yeah, we had people raising, and we had a feed mill down there on the railroad track.
You built that mill that's down there on the track,
Really?
but it's much smaller than what it is now.
Well, I imagine. So what was your occupation pretty much after the war? You raised chickens and
Well, we was out there in California. We bought a gas station, and I was not satisfied with it, and we sold it. But that was already about 4 years gone by, and we moved back to Burleson and went to raising chickens. And we became a Purina feed dealer. And we got, how many trips did we get?
3.
30 trips from one to,
First one we went to Los Angeles,
yeah,
and then they went to Florida one year, and then we went to Mamarillo in Canada.
that's up past the last city on that St. Lawrence River.
oh, okay.
And then we went by boat down to where they'd built a fancy hotel, and we had the best time there. And it was all on Purina.
Well, when did you retire?
Well, I'm not retired yet.
You aren't, huh? What are you doing now?
Now we just got a small amount of cows, about 60 head of cows there.
And if you don't mind me asking, where do y'all live now? If you have 60 head, is that separate from your home or?
We live there. We live east of Burleson, or west of Burleson.
I'm so sorry.
We live west of Burleson off 914 on 150 acres. And we have a home there, and the son has a home there. And we have the 60 cows plus the calves. And that's what we do.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to talk about or any other stories? I know you've told me some really good ones.
Well, I brought this, stuck this in, and I'll let you see that.
What do we have here?
That's Daisy. She goes with me out and pick up the check cattle. And then that's I and the wife there. Went back from church one Sunday, that maybe about 4 or 5 years ago.
Y'all make for a very nice couple.
Yeah, we got,
Well, which church do y'all belong to here in town?
Church of Christ.
Church of Christ? Okay. Well, anything else or?
Well, we have 4 beautiful, good citizen children. And they love America as much as we do.
If any of them or their families served at all or?
No, they've never been in the service. The youngest one is 40, so I don't expect them to. maybe some of the grandchildren will one day. I think it's a nice thing to do.
Mr. Coleman, did your service, did it change your life in any ways, or change how you thought following the war?
Well, I was thankful to God for letting me come back home. Because I did get shot at. Just got missed one day. This medic came out when we pulled into a German town. We'd gone over to we didn't realize it at the time, but we went across the street from this big brick building where we had going to stay, and walked down inside the house to the cellar, and we got down there, and this guy that was a sharpshooter shot at me, and it just, the good Lord was with me, he didn't hit me. And we got inside, but he just barely did miss me. And we got inside and stayed till about dark. Went back over and told the rest of the people that there was lined with wine over there. And there's a bunch of one over there and had a bottle, I guess. That I never did drink any of it. Didn't never, and even the beers that we'd buy, I didn't ever drink any of that.
Well,
It might be one reason I'm still alive today.
well, maybe you'll make it to 125 like that.
No, that. But that was about close as I ever got it. And one morning I went back across over there. We was walking on behind this building, and Sergeant Ryan was right in front of me and another guy. They was gonna go back down there to that house.
There was a wine cellar.
Yeah, the wine cellar. And it heard that gun again, and it clipped the twig off right above his head.
Good grief.
Man, I didn't have to plus he hit the ground and I got back behind.
Well, I tell you what, Mr. Coleman, I think we're about finished. But thank you very much for coming and talking to me, and thank you very much for participating in this project.